All right, let's talk protein. I'm sure by now everybody's aware the importance of protein intake for holding on to muscle mass. Super important, especially as we age. We want to hold on to that muscle mass. There's lots of data coming out saying that it's a massive decrease in all-cause mortality if we're stronger, more muscular as we age. So what does that actually mean? So we're going to work on a range. Most of the data coming out now says the range is between 1.6 to 2.2 grams per kilo of body weight. So how do we figure that out? How do we decipher this? It's jargon or a bit overwhelming when you start looking at it. But it's pretty simple if we break it down, right? If we're looking to put on some size, so it can be that we're already underweight, and we just want to gain some size, or if we're trying to put on some muscle mass, then we're going to be in a calorie surplus. If we're running a pretty heavy surplus, 20%, depending upon your total daily energy expenditure, that can be pretty high, right? And it's really hard, believe it or not, it's really hard to eat constantly and consistently. It becomes a grind. So one of the tricks we can do is go to that lower range of the protein intake, because protein makes us feel fuller longer. So we still want to make sure we've got enough protein to hold on to that muscle and for recovery and everything, especially if we're training pretty hard. But we've got enough calories coming in that we don't need that top end of the protein intake. The lower end of it is going to leave more room for calories, so we're not feeling as full, not feeling as bloated. We can also do things like nutrient timing, so we make sure that we don't have our fiber intake before training. We have it later on in the day or earlier in the day, so we still get our fiber intake, but we want to make sure that we're not just having too much protein when we're in that surplus. I know it sounds counterintuitive. Everybody thinks eating heaps of food is great, but trust me, it becomes a grind. So what are we talking about for that? So if you're a human that's 80 kilos and you want that lower end, we're talking 1.6 grams per kilo of body weight. So we simply times 80 kilos by 1.6 gives us 128 grams of protein throughout the day. Then we can just modulate the fat and the carbohydrates depending upon how active we are, and that's going to give us our macro breakdown. Now, on the other end of that, if we're running a deficit, we're on a fat loss journey, or we've hit our target and we're trying to lean up a bit and we're running a 20% deficit, which is pretty harsh, then we're going to be feeling hungry, right? That hunger is going to become an issue. So now we want to go to that upper end. Now, the other reason we want to do it, because there's less calories coming into the body, we also don't want to sacrifice that muscle mass. Even if it's not about the aesthetics, if you're on a fat loss journey or a weight loss journey, you don't want to be losing that muscle mass, right? Because we now have the data saying that it's really important for your health, for long-term health. So we want to focus on trying to get rid of as much fat as we can while maintaining that muscle mass. Now, we want to make sure that we're not starving. So the way we can offset those hunger pains is basically go to that upper limit, that 2.2 grams per kilo of body weight. So again, if we just use a human that weighs 80 kilos, times that by 2.2, now we've got 176 grams of protein out of our total daily amount that we're taking in of your kilocalories. Now we can work around fats and the carbohydrates. Again, if we've got a lot heavier training schedule, we can drop back the fats a bit, so we increase those carbs, make sure that we've got plenty of energy coming in, and this is how we can play around with it. Now, doesn't mean that you've got to be at that top limit. Just listen to your hunger cues. If you're starving, if you try a lower 1.8, 2 grams per kilo of body weight, you're finding that you're still hungry, just up it a little bit. Listen to the hunger cues, check the body measurements, and you can't lose. But the big thing, please don't neglect your protein and try and hold on to as much muscle mass as you can as you get older.